Henry VIII, Bertrand Russell, Joseph Stalin. These are all men who have read and been influenced by Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince. The word Machiavellian has become a synonym for evil, but The Prince was written just as much as a warning as a guidebook. Its lessons can be used to obtain and hold power, or protect yourself from those who wish to wield power over you. Whichever stance you take, it's important to learn the lessons from one of the most influential books of all time. But there's just one problem with reading The Prince cover to cover. You see, when you read this book, you get a lesson on the medieval history and geography of Italy as much as anything else. Which is why in today's video, I am going to distill 5 of the most impactful teachings from this book and help you implement them in your life. There is a difference between how things should be and how things are. It is naive to think that life is played by fair rules and that everyone's motives are transparent. You may think it's unjust for your employer, lover, or friend to do what they did, and you might be right, but they did it anyway. However, realizing this difference between how things should be and how they actually are can be incredibly empowering. When we restrict ourselves to the confines of moral idealism, our naivety can force us into the zone of victimhood. We get trapped playing the game by one set of rules, while others have an unfair advantage. So just because you are a moral person, don't assume others have the same compass. Be wary of others who are prepared to play dirty to get what they want out of you. Religion may be a mask worn for virtue. A truly religious man has a personal and private relationship with his God. However, be wary of those who wear their faith as an emblem of morality, without living their lives in a godly way. In the United States, Christianity is used as a shorthand for morality, especially by those in positions of power. Even in 2024, it's almost impossible to imagine that a man or woman could become president while being openly atheist. As a result, non-believers adopt a mask of Christianity in order to appear virtuous, even if the way they live their lives is anything but Christian. This doesn't mean you need to be skeptical of all religious people. Just make your own judgments about their character and don't look to their faith as a guidebook. Look at their actions when judging their character, rather than how often they go to church. Men are judged more by the eye than the hand. In Machiavelli's time, image and reputation were everything. Today, status could mean being a manager at work or simply being well known in your community. But as Machiavelli said, everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know who you really are. Much like having this outer veneer of being a religious, holy man, Machiavelli believes that leaders had to make decisions with their reputation in mind. How their decisions would be perceived was just as important as the actual outcome of their decisions. So be wary of men with an elevated status who seem to have this golden halo of a stellar reputation. Remember, many men we revere as greats and even idolize had personal lives racked with problems. A Machiavellian will hide these problems from the public as much as possible and instead focus on the veneer that is his reputation. What a Machiavellian man chooses to do behind closed doors, however, is an entirely different matter. As Machiavelli wrote, a prince should appear merciful, faithful, kind, religious, upright, but should be flexible enough to make use of the opposite qualities when it is necessary. Fear is stronger than love. Machiavelli is often misquoted as saying it is better to be feared than loved. What he actually said is that it's preferable to be both, but if you have to choose between one or the other, being feared is safer than being loved. Why? Well, Machiavelli didn't have much faith in ordinary people to remain loyal when shit hits the fan. Yes, I'm paraphrasing, but let me read you a direct quote. Love is preserved by the link of gratefulness, which owing to the weak nature of men is broken at every opportunity. However, men are much tighter bound by the fear of punishment, which Machiavelli describes as a fear which never fails. The lesson we can learn here is this: the less you depend on charity or favor, the less you have to fear. In today's world, our biggest threats don't come from invading armies or tyrannical rulers, but rather those we have allowed to become the boss of us. This could be our employer, our parents, or even a friend whom you are greatly indebted to. Injuries should be quick, while pleasures should be sustained. A medieval ruler would inevitably have to do some unsavory things after taking a new territory. These could include killing or torturing his opponents, confiscating property, and levying new taxes on the citizens. But he could also do good things like organize entertainment, distribute money, or appoint citizens to new jobs. We all have equivalent powers in our modern lives. At times we must make tough decisions, at other times we can afford to be generous. Machiavelli had a strong conviction about how both good and bad deeds should be dealt. I quote you, "Injuries ought to be done all at one time, so that being tasted less, they offend less. Benefits ought to be given little by little, so that their flavor may last longer." Consider this philosophy next time you make decisions that may impact others. Meanwhile, be wary of those who appear to drip feed your rewards. Whether it's your boss, your government, or your girlfriend, they may be trying to manipulate you. Gentlemen, I have found reading The Prince to be a fascinating insight into human nature. It truly lifts the veil on what is seen to be good or bad, and allows you to view decision-making in a totally new light. Let me know in the comments if you would enjoy more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.